Hi everyone, DeAndre here. I know it's a bit unexpected. You're hearing my voice before the episode starts. Whoa, crazy, right? I just wanted to let you all know, if you've noticed, this episode is just a tad bit longer than usual. That's because at the end of this, there's a little extra treat at the end of the episode for your hidden gem, so to speak. Well, I guess not so much hidden anymore. I guess I did just tell you that it's at the end. But, stick around. Listen to it if you feel like. A little extra bonus nugget here at the end for you. That's enough of me. I'm done talking. Thanks for sticking around, listening to me talk, ramble on for a few extra seconds. But enough of me. Let's get right into the episode. Yesenia, we're back.
Are we, Andre? Are we really back?
I would hope so. Otherwise, this is all for nothing. And I hate wasting time.
It's always for something. It's always for something.
And you know what? I've been actually looking forward to this one for quite a while because I like spicy topics, spicy subjects.
Yeah, I feel like today's topic for our listeners out there, I know y'all have experience with this, so it's gonna hit a nerve. So listen with caution, have some snacks ready, get your favorite beverage ready, because we're gonna spice it up. We're gonna getting a little controversial with our guests today. Dean, do you want to tell the folks what we're going to be talking about today?
Oh, yes. I'm going to have some fun with this one, mostly talking about it and listening. Today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. That was a roll of the tongue, not a drum roll. Today's topic we've got coming up, workplace romances.
Whoa. Also, just really impressed with that tongue roll. Good for you.
Thank you. I've been trying to perfect that for years. I'm glad I got the seal of approval from a Latina.
Yeah, you do.
Ladies and gentlemen, everything in between coming up next, workplace romances.
You are now tuned in to the Soft Boiled Podcast with DeAndre and Yesenia, your one-stop shop for all things relationships. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Before we get started on this lovely topic, we do have a special guest here with us today. I'm going to do a little soft intro because my man knows how to introduce himself like no other. He is part of the Ramen Raiders. He is one of our best friends. Nate, can you introduce yourself to the fine people, please?
Hello. I don't think I can introduce myself better than that, but thank you. Hi, I'm Nate. I'm part of the Ramen Raiders. I am, I guess, a car enthusiast and a model kit builder. I'm a gamer just like the rest of the people in the Ramen Raiders. And I am straight. I am single, and I'm not really looking for anything right now.
Oh, my man says, you know why Nate's not looking though? Because he don't have to look. He just gets bitches like it's nothing.
He fucking shags bitches so much. I wish I had as much Riz as this man here.
I thought we agreed we're not using Riz, first of all.
Oh, we not doing that? I didn't get that memo. Someone needs to hit my email because I didn't get that memo.
Okay. Also, just to kind of like spice it up a little bit, Nate, I love your intro and I don't mean to cut you off, but I am going to say for all of our listeners, Nate is the leader of our group. He is king. He is the one we follow. He is captain. He is sir.
That's not true.
We follow this man in a battle and we love him for it. Thank you. Thank you, Nathan.
Not true.
I
refuse.
We love following your lead on just everything. We loved it.
No.
You the man. Keep it up.
Shut up.
Oh, so fearless leader.
I'm neither fearless nor a leader.
But what you are is a master in the subject of workplace romances. Is that right?
I wouldn't say master. I would say I have had a couple, and it's never good.
I'd actually like to get into that real quick. You say it's not good. Now, without getting into too much detail, right off rip.
Mhm.
Why were they not good?
Um, I think it was because, well, I feel like the main thing is that if anything happens, like let's say that like everything goes smooth, you do get into a relationship, and like you guys are going great. If for some reason you guys get into a fight and you guys are working in the same place, it's gonna be really awkward and it's gonna affect the workflow. Um, Even if like you guys are technically in different sections, people can feel that, and like it's just not okay. It affects work way too much. And like especially if you were working directly with each other, it's even worse.
My name is
That's the
Yesenia,
thing.
and I approve this message.
Yeah, no, but that's what I think. I mean, like, do you guys have any other like opinion on it, or?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and I think a lot of people share your sentiment. Me personally, I would echo a lot of that sentiment. If I've got sort of like ground rules for workplace romances and things of that nature, things like I can't see them every day. Things like I would rather them not be in the same department as me. Things where if, like you said, if we do get into a fight, our work isn't really affected or isn't really affecting one another, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Things like that. I'd rather keep them at like arm's length at work
Mhm.
as much as I can, even if we're together. So that way, if drama is unfolding outside of the workplace, I'd rather not be looking at her, you know, and my coworkers see that, oh, these two are fighting. You know what I mean? Because then
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's just gonna cause more drama, obviously.
Yeah.
How about you, Yesenia?
You know, as someone who has engaged in a workplace romance, let me just say I agree with Nate. It's a bad idea for many reasons. And I think the biggest reason is like work and play just do not mesh well together. And regardless if you set ground rules, if you try to set boundaries, if you try to be like the bigger person about it when it comes to fights and like tension, it comes out in such petty ways in the workplace. Um but also, like, I think everyone at a workplace has like their workplace bestie, or like some people have like their workplace wife or their workplace husband. And not to say that it's like deeper than just like y'all vibe, y'all get along, you can collaborate and work together. Um, it's just someone you mesh well with at work, and it's the opposite sex. It doesn't have to be deeper than that, right? But if
Mhm.
you have that person at work and you have your significant other at work, and there's always drama.
Yeah.
And that was the case for me because I had someone I worked super well with at work, and the guy that I was dating would always get jealous about our interactions. Not
Mhm.
going too much into detail, I can share my story later, but yeah, it just doesn't work. And then when you break up, like everybody knows your business. Like everybody knows
Yeah,
what
that's
happened in your
that's the
relationship.
worst.
Yeah.
Now, bringing it back to you, Nate. You said you've had two, or you've had a few,
I've had, I think, three.
three. Oh my God, Mister.
Um,
Mm.
Look, no, um, the thing is, like with work, like that's one of the main ways that like I get to know people like quicker is because like you're in like close proximity with people, and like if you are with people long enough, like you start to get to know each other well. Um, and like that's like a problem that I have, is that like if I'm attracted to somebody at work, like I kind of fall like head first, and it's a huge problem. Um, and with that, like one of the first times that I had actually like kind of had a crush on somebody, I had asked her on a date, and it was just like a whole thing. Like it didn't work out. I didn't know how to. I'd never really dated anybody or like gone on a date before. Um, it was like a pretty small like workplace, like maybe a workplace of like 10 people max.
So
Mhm.
it was tight
Um,
knit.
so it was, yeah. So like, people knew that it happened, and when it didn't work out, people knew, and people could feel it. Um, that was like the first one, and that was like, I don't know, like 2015, 2016. So that was one of them. And that just, uh, there's a lot of reasons why that one didn't work out. I think a majority of which was, I would say, my fault. Because I didn't understand, and I didn't know how to approach how dating worked. And I think to an extent I still don't. I'm still learning. Um, and yeah. Did you want me to talk about the other ones as well?
We can get there, but I
Okay.
think that's definitely a great start.
Okay.
I don't. I'll be honest. I don't really have any. I've never had like a workplace romance. Like I've never gotten in a relationship with someone that I've currently or yeah that I've ever worked with. Um, Yesenia kind of touched on it earlier. Like I did have a work wife at some point. At my current job, she's not there currently anymore. But
Mhm.
and it wasn't anything romantic or anything like that. But you know, we just like she said, we vibed. We got along very well.
Mhm.
She was older, more mature, I would say. She, you know, has a kid who's I think a sophomore in high school right now. But yeah, she would, you know, we would talk and we
Okay.
would vibe and have just deep conversations about like life and where she's at, where I'm at, how I'm doing, how she's doing. We would even hang out outside of work, just her and I one on one. You know, it's. I think that was the point when I realized, like, damn, I'm becoming an adult. Right, I hang out with adult coworkers one on one. I was like, fuck, man, this is weird, and it's odd because, like I said, she was so much older than me, so it's like there is that sort of that age gap there where it's like, well, I can't talk to her about the latest episode of Demon Slayer, obviously. So I had to we
You
had
sure about that? She
to
probably was watching it.
we had to
Hey, who
like find some
knows?
common ground sometimes about like, oh, what's up with her baby daddy? Is he acting up, or
Mhm.
how's her kid doing in school, and how's he doing in baseball, that kind of stuff. So
Gotcha.
um but like I say, she's currently not there anymore. Uh at where I'm still working at, she's moved on to greener pastures and whatnot. But uh that being said, don't think I didn't try though. Like
Of course. Of course.
as professional as we kept it, like I was just I'd be like, hey, so like, what are you trying to do about this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
after barking up that tree for so long, eventually I was just like, all right, whatever. I would like halfway kind of try and sort of like dip my toe in the water, knowing that I wasn't gonna get anywhere.
Mhm.
But and she never gave me an inch. So I
You're
think
trying to play stepdad. Okay, I see you.
I was trying to play something. I was trying to I was trying to get like Yu-Gi-Oh GX and get my game on. You feel me?
Oh my God.
But no, we're still friends to this day though. And we keep it pretty cordial, pretty friendly. But yeah, I mean that's one example I have right now. I'll get to other uh other happenings that I've had
Okay.
later on, but I'm gonna let Yesenia carry us on.
Yeah, so I was a senior in high school, and the job I was working at the time, one of my coworkers had like messaged me on Instagram, and this was during grad night senior trip when we would go to Disneyland. I don't know if y'all went to grad night Disneyland for your senior trip. I think we might have been there at the same time though. I don't
Yeah,
know if it was
we
which
did.
high school.
We were there at the same time that night.
Yeah. So I think we were all together that same day or whatever, which
I
is
just
pretty funny
realized
to
I
think
said our
about
high
it.
schools out loud. I'll take care of that.
Okay. So yeah, I think our high schools were all there at the same time, which is pretty funny to think we would meet later. Anyways, so my coworker DMs me because he was like trying to ask me to take his shifts. I was like, I'm in Disneyland. Like, no, I can't take your shifts.
No,
And
bitch.
that was like his way of slithering into my DMs. So we would talk more consistently. We would like flirt at work. But he was like a man whore in high school, and nothing
course.
really changed. And it's funny because the guy that I was dating my senior year of high school, when I got the job, he was like, "Oh, stay away from so and so because he's bad news." And who did my dumbass start dating after I graduated high school? That certain so. Um, it was cool. It was fine at first. We didn't really tell anybody, but then people started finding out. But you know, one thing led to another, and he would cheat on me all the fucking time. And
What
he
a
would cheat on
slut.
me. He would cheat on me with coworkers.
Ooh.
That's
Oh god.
crazy.
That's messy.
It was so messy. So there'd be like certain coworkers that would talk shit and be like, "Ew, he's cheating on you with this chick." Like, that's Shrek and you're a fucking Fiona type thing. And like, yeah.
That's
And one time we did an overnight, and this one dude, hella out of pocket, dude from like Richmond. So you know he didn't give a fuck. But he deadass was like, "Wait, he's cheating on you with who?" And he looked at him and was like, "Do you not realize how hot Yesenia is and how ugly this other bitch is?" In front of literally my boyfriend at the time and the girl he was cheating on me with at the time. And so it caused hella drama. But then I was like, if you're gonna be cheating with bitches at work, I'm a flirt with dudes at work. So like there was a lot of eye candy at work all the damn time, and they loved me because you know white boys love their Latinas. But there was like specific coworkers of mine who were a little bit older. They were in like college or like their grad school programs, and I would flirt away with them all day long. But then like these little teeny boppers would go and tell my boyfriend, and then he would get really pissed off at me. But even to the point where like, yeah, it just didn't work. We could not make it work. He was like a narcissist, and yeah, we ended up breaking up. But it's funny because years later, my sister ended up working at that same job, and he was still there, my ex-boyfriend. And he would still like beef with my sister about shit and like bring me up and like talk to me about my sister, ask me how I was doing and stuff. And of course my sister's gonna be like, "Bitch, that like she's thriving, she's doing great, her boyfriend's amazing, whatever," right? But it was just not the vibe. It was so tumultuous and just toxic, and probably I ended up leaving because we like broke up and I got into a new relationship, and I was like, I'm not trying to be here and deal with the new boyfriend, ex-boyfriend drama. Like, it wasn't for me. So I left and I started working somewhere else. And one of the girls he was like always in love with, he ended up with her. So good for them. I'm happy for them. I'm glad I no longer have to deal with that shit, and I hope he's not putting her through shit. Because I know the girl that he's with now, and she was really cool when we worked together. So, I don't wish them any, malintentions or anything like that.
Dude better not be fucking up.
Mm-mm. But that's my one and only time dating a coworker, and let me tell you, that was a lesson I learned the first time around.
So you wouldn't
No
do
offense,
it again.
Nate. Oh, fuck no, I would not do it again. Maybe, like, if we worked for the same agency, but not at the same site, because now I'm in, like, the nonprofit world, so, like, usually agencies have different sites around the Bay Area.
Yeah.
If we happen to meet at, like, a training, I'd be okay with that, but we have to have our own sites. Like, I don't want to see you all day and then see you all night. Like, that's too much of you.
Yeah,
Okay.
at some point you got to get that break in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be looking at you all day.
Yep.
All right, Nate. You've got more stories to tell. I need to hear them. The people need to hear them.
Well, the only other story is the story.
Oh, and this is the one. This is the one I've been waiting for. And you know what? before we get to yours, because I love hearing this story. I'm gonna go real quick.
What?
Because I only have one more story, but I know my story isn't.
Oh,
as juicy.
that's what you mean. Okay, yeah.
My story isn't as juicy as yours, honestly. So
I feel like you're hyping this way too much.
I don't know, and maybe it's because I like the story so much. Maybe that's why.
Okay, maybe.
But so in my past work experience, I worked for an amusement park, as you guys know, a local amusement park. And at said amusement park, there were tons of people ranging from like 15 all the way up to old elderly people working at the park. So you got a mix, so you got a good range of people. You could always tell how old people were by the color of their badges. 15 was yellow. I think 16 and 17 were orange. And I think anything above the age of 18 is a white badge. So
so they made y'all aware of people's ages, so y'all don't fuck up.
Yeah,
that's actually nice.
That's definitely one way to put it. And I know someone personally who got caught up trying to talk to some orange badges. That's a whole that's a can of worms. He claims he was quote unquote being nice, and I'm like, I know this guy. He was definitely not trying to be nice to nobody. But anyway, but yeah, I worked there for 4 years. I never got into any workplace romances, though. I know of people that have. One of them is in our very friend group, who you all may know. And I know of some things that went down at the park. Or I should say that may or may not have went down at the park. From my personal experience, I only had one sort of, kind of, maybe workplace thing go on. It wasn't even like a romance. We never like dated. The most we ever did was hand stuff. That was about all that happened. And that happened, that happened a couple times. Both during park hours and after park hours. Now that I'm like,
was that like in like a back room, or was it like...
oh yeah,
okay,
yeah,
just want to clarify.
One of the rooms that we got handsy in, I look back on it, I'm like, man, anybody could have just walked in on us, and you know you know what I mean.
It could have been bad.
Yeah, it could have been woo. Could have blown up.
God. Could
have blown up in our faces. So fucking bad. Yeah. But luckily it didn't. Fortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about the most I've ever done. Gotten handsy with said coworker. I don't, obviously I don't have contact with her anymore. After I left the park, that was just sort of the end of that, really. And it really wasn't anything sort of I shouldn't. Yeah, it really wasn't anything romantic. I think we were both just
horny.
Horny young adults. You know what I mean? And dude, I'm telling you right now, you put that many young people working in an amusement park together, like some shit's gonna happen. Like I know, true. I have seen so many workplace couples walking around that place. It's fucking insane. I'd go, oh, look, there's those two. Oh, my God, there's those two. I knew one girl who was, her and her boyfriend worked in the same department. And they saw each other like every day because they did the exact same job. So I would see them, walking around together, all that kind of stuff, doing their duties together and whatnot. And the crazy, they live together. They also live together. That's fucking crazy to me.
At the time?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They might even still live together now. I'm not sure. They were pretty tight, you know what I mean? But dang. Yeah, they work together and they live together. I don't know how they did it.
How old were
they? They were at the time.
I ask that actually?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm 20.
Okay.
Let's subtract 1, 2, 3 down. Then at the time they had to have been like 21, 22. Just a little bit younger, a little bit younger than us, I think, honestly.
Okay.
But oh god, I so like Yesenia was saying, like I can't be seeing you every day, and they saw each other every day. That blew my fucking mind. She was a
And
nice
they
girl
were
though.
okay with that.
She was a super nice girl. Everyone got along with her. She she had a mouth on her, and I don't mean a mouth in a dirty way. I mean she just talked. She
Oh,
talked.
okay. I see.
Oh my gosh, she talked so much. Oh my lord, I couldn't stand her whenever she started going on and on about stuff. Thank God I had a Switch to play at the time. I had so much downtime in that place. I would just play my fucking Switch. But yeah, that's about all the workplace stuff. At least off the top of my head that I can recall.
Gotcha. Well, I guess it's my turn.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
Oh God.
Take us away.
All right. So like a few years ago, I was working at a retail store, and this was like actually like near the beginning of COVID, I think. Um, Honestly, if they ever hear this, I'm like at this point, I'm like whatever about it.
Yeah,
I'm not
fuck
gonna
them.
name drop. I'm not gonna name drop or anything. But
But we
if they
will
hear it,
fuck
I don't
them.
really. Nah, whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't really care. It.
You can
I
do a
don't
pseudonym
really
if you
care.
want.
Yeah, I probably will. But there was so I was working at this retail store, and I was working there for like maybe like a month or two at this point. Somebody had just started working there, um, and uh, just to kind of preface this a little bit, like everybody there is typically around the age of like 18-ish, like give or take a couple of years. So I did not want to talk to anybody under the age of 21, just for my sake, and mainly because if someone says that they're over 20, like if someone says they're 23, no one's gonna lie about being 23. No one wants to be 23.
I feel that.
Like no, like am I wrong in thinking that? Like that's
No, like
like I don't.
who just goes around saying, "Oh yeah, I'm 23" when you're not 23? Like
Yeah,
what a odd
yeah,
age to claim you
yeah.
are.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So yeah, that. So anyone over the age of 21, I'm usually like, okay, yeah, that I can believe that. Um, Anyone under the age of 21, I'm just like, real sketchy territory. I don't want to deal with it. Um, and there's this one girl. I was like, I like her style. I definitely checked out her ass. Um, I liked her.
As you do, you know,
Look, man, it just kind of happens.
you're a red-blooded American
Oh,
male. It
oh
happens.
my God. Um, yeah, and that, but like honestly, the first thing that I saw were her eyes, and I don't know what it is about eyes, but like they get me.
I don't know
Um,
why, but that was so fucking romantic.
right after talking about ass.
I mean, you pay some eyes on some ass. You know what I mean? Like you got best of both
Look, man,
worlds.
yeah, I mean eyes and thighs, man. I'm playing. But like, so at this point, it's like COVID. People are wearing masks. I see her eyes. I like her hairstyle. I like her outfit. I like her style. Um, at some point, like over a period of time, I like compliment her uh on like some like her outfit or something, and then at some point, like later that day, I get like a DM, and I'm just like, what is who's DMing me? And it turns out to be wait, let me double check. I could be getting this wrong. I could have DM'd her and I don't remember.
Nate
Um,
sliding into DMs.
yeah, yeah. I think it might have been me. Regardless, that happened. Um, and then like we, this kind of went like real, like we started like sexting almost immediately.
Damn, look at you go.
Um, and I was like, okay, this is weird. I don't normally do this. I don't do this in general. Um, do you mind if like we slow down because I this is a lot already.
Hey, you
Um,
know what? Good on you for for communicating that you wanted to slow things down. That takes a lot, you know.
Yeah. Because I'll be honest, like at the time I was definitely 100% really horny. And I'm not gonna lie. Um, but like I was like, do you want to like go on a date or something at some point? And I already knew that my parents were not gonna like her. Um, because basically they're like hardcore Christians. That's pretty much what it is. I feel like that's fairly self-explanatory, but if I need to explain that more, I definitely will.
I would say just
Um,
for context,
yeah.
go ahead and
So
explain.
typically, yeah, okay. So then, what I mean by that is typically they would want someone who's, I would say like fairly conservative in the way they dress, like no tattoos, not really any piercings aside from like the ears. Um, and like doesn't really show a whole lot of skin. And she was like all of those.
Hmm.
So
Gotcha.
yeah. One of my coworkers at the time had joked about me getting an alt girl, and I was like, I don't know what that means. Um, and then I found out, and I was like, I guess. Um, but anyway, that's a whole thing. Um, so like as I was continuing, like we eventually go on a date. Like this is probably like the first time that I see her without her mask. Um, I don't think she's pretty. And at this point, I'm just like, so like, what do I do? Do I want to be the asshole and
Yeah, you
be
trying to
like,
abort mission?
um, like, sorry, you ugly, um, or do I like suck it up and be like, okay, maybe if I give it some time, maybe you'll like warm up to how she looks.
Hmm.
So I went that direction. I was like, okay, we'll just see how it goes. Maybe you'll warm up to it. Um, and then like I kept like talking to this person. I feel like this is more than just workplace relationships, by the way. It's more of like how I've been in a relationship, or like not even in a relationship, but like try to like date, and how I failed. Because the communication between us was weird. Mainly because I felt like in the very like first month of us talking, I would always ask the questions and she
Mm.
would just sit there and give me like a one or two worded answer.
God, that's the worst.
Um,
I hate people that text like that.
yeah. And I was just like, okay. And then I had to really dig deep for her to get like like give better answers. Um, she would never really ask me anything. Like she never really seemed interested. Um, she see this is I feel like this is more of a rant than anything.
Now
Um,
let it all out. I love it. I'm loving
like
this.
uh, and like these are I feel like at this point it's like pet peeves. And oh, here's the one thing that like really pissed me off. I think there was one time where like she sneezed and I said bless you, and I didn't hear anything, and I was like, okay, maybe she didn't hear that. So I said bless you again, and then she just like kind of giggled, and I was like, what just happened?
She giggled.
I
Whoa.
was
What a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is weird. Um, and then I think over time, like we had been trying to talk, and then like more and more, um, we started like video chatting, and it just uh it didn't really work out. Like near the end of it, um, I think actually during this period of time, I kept asking her like, "What do you want from this? Like, what are your intentions?" Actually, that was like one of the first few things I asked her was, "What are your intentions?" And every single time I got an "I don't know." Um, And I was just like, okay, maybe if I give it more time, like I'll give you more time to like maybe think this over.
Mm.
And like I kept pushing for it, which was 100% a red flag. But I was like, I'm just gonna cross over the red flag and see how it goes. Um, that's on me, because I saw it, and as like time went on, I think there was one time where I asked her one more time. I was like, so uh, like I don't like where this is going. Like I don't like the fact that like you're not really communicating to me like what you want from this. I want to know. I want to understand all this stuff. And then she was like, "I'm sorry, blah blah blah. Um, I understand." I think she was like she wanted to also communicate better or whatever. And then like we ended that night. The next day we were supposed to work together.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't show up.
Mm.
Normally I text her in the morning, but that time I was like, okay, it seems like she needs some space, so I'm not gonna text her because
Okay.
that makes sense to me. Later that night, she texted me and asked me like, why didn't you text me? Um, and I was in my head, I'm just like, what am I supposed to say to you right now? And that
Also,
was like,
y'all just ended things. Like, why would you text her in the morning? What are you supposed to be like? Hey, you're supposed to come to work today?
yeah, yeah, right? So that was like the one thing. And actually, I remember talking to my one of my I think managers at the time. Um, and like I told him all this stuff, and he was like, "This is the one thing that I remember here, like, and I will never forget this." He was like, I may be colorblind, but that's a red flag,
I
and
may
I
be
will never."
colorblind. That's cool. That's clever.
Yep.
And I I was just like, yeah, like everybody was like, yeah, these are all red flags. And at some point, I was just like, yeah, I can't. Like, and I didn't know how to approach this, and this is where like I definitely like fucked up, um, because like we had planned on having one more date, and I was like getting anxiety, like trying to
Mm.
figure out how to tell her like I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and right up to the day that we were supposed to go on another date, um, I think I texted her that morning. I was like, we need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't know how to do like to really sit like I didn't know if texting would have been a better idea or going up in person. So in my head at the time, I was like, maybe it's more respectful if I actually tell her in person. Um, and that's something that I still don't really know if that's like actually a good thing or a bad thing, or if that's a better thing to do. Um, but that's what I did. I went to her house. We drove to the park. We had a conversation. Clearly she was mad, and then she told me I want to go home, and I was like, okay. And I think when I dropped her off, I kind of teared up, and I was like, wow, that's weird. Um, and then we kind of just ended it from the like right then. Um, and then the next few days, I think like the day or two after, she was there was I think I remember her talking with another coworker. Like she's clearly very passive aggressive about this. She says, "I want to get my like." Talking to my coworker, I want to get my nipples pierced, and I was like, "What the hell is this conversation coming from?" Um,
The fuck?
and like, yeah, I don't know, and like, she's clearly not wearing a bra. I can see her nipples through her shirt. Like she's doing this on purpose, and I'm just
A
like,
workplace and you're not wearing a bra and you can
yeah,
see that's like, I
like
don't know how I feel about that.
yeah, I don't know, it like yeah, it was a whole thing. Okay, like I guess you couldn't necessarily see her nipples, but you could definitely see them poking, and
Yeah.
like, um, well, like that's where I was like, okay, this is really annoying. Um, and like a week later, another thing that I clearly messed up. I was hanging out with one of my other coworker, or like I guess at this time she had already quit. Was a different coworker. We were just hanging out because like she was the only she was one of the few girls that I was like super cool with. Like, she was kind of like almost like one of the guys.
Hmm.
Um, and we were just hanging out. At some point during me hanging out with her, I guess because of one, I was pissed, and the other was because um I was a little bit horny. We ended up making out and we had sex.
My guy.
Yeah. This was after we had cut it off, by the way.
Yeah.
Um,
Is this the one in the parking lot?
no, this
Okay.
was was in a garage in a shared home on a
Oh,
couch.
oh man.
Damn. All right.
Hell
Is that
yeah.
how you get down?
I cannot believe I did that.
And this is why you're the leader.
Uh, yeah.
This is why you run the
Yeah.
pack.
It's not something I'm proud of. Um,
You know what though? Throughout this whole story, like you've been like really beating yourself up over just like the decisions that you made, and I think you need to give yourself a lot more credit because like you said, relationships are not easy to navigate, and given that I think we were a little younger probably when this happened, we're still trying to figure out what we want and what we don't want, what red flags are, toxic, healthy signs, etc. And you've been honest, like you were horny, like you wanted to, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's not like you had the knowledge you do now, right? Like it's a whole different thing when you had time and you had invested time and interest in a person. She didn't seem to be physically what you thought she would be. You still try to make it work. You still were trying, whether or not it was just for a nut or not. You know, like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like you tried to make it work with her, and it seemed like she was more of like aloof to what a relationship could be with you. So you did what you could. And at the end of the day, like you and her
Yeah.
probably were on the same page, because if she's talking about getting her nipples pierced in front of you, she's clearly trying to get a message across to you. And that message could have been, I'm horny too, so let's bang and let's bang this out.
Yeah. If I'm being, I was going to say if I'm being horny, but I meant to say if I'm being honest.
Oh my god.
If I'm being honest, yeah, like from judging from the story, it sounds to me like you were making very adult decisions. And given this was like what, like 4 or 5 years ago, so we're obviously older now. We were in our mid-20s a few years ago. Like I think you were making very adult and mature decisions, whereas obviously I think she's younger than she's younger than us. So it would probably
She was only a year younger, by the way.
only a year. Oh well, fuck that. No, never mind. Fuck that. Yeah, she's making totally immature decisions, like this whole wishy-washy shit. But then again, young people don't really know what they want, so I guess I can't put too much of the blame on her. I guess, but I don't know. It'd be taking you for a ride like that is one thing, but then you took her for a ride, so I guess it all kind of works out in the end.
Yeah. See, yeah, that's a whole nother part of the story.
Was it
Like
good?
a month later. I'm not gonna say
A
it.
month later? Hold on, there's
About a
more
month.
tea.
Yeah, there like about a month later, like another coworker has like a birthday party. I didn't eat anything that day. I drink, and during this time, this same girl that I had like tried to break it off with,
Laid
like she's
with.
getting really close to me, and I'm like trying to avoid her as much as I can. And at some point, the seat opens up right next to me, and she sits right there, and her leg keeps like bumping right against me, and I don't know what to do. So like I try to move my leg over, and like it gets closer, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Another one of my coworkers just like asked me, "Can you help me to the bathroom? I'm really drunk." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll help you to walk to the bathroom." I go do that. Actually, wait, there's a part that I skipped entirely. So actually, and after I had sex with the one girl, like a week or two later, she finds out that I had slept with that girl.
Wait, who is this second girl
So
now?
so the person, okay, so I'll maybe say name. I'll say
Pseudonames.
like, yeah, pseudonyms. Let's say that Jennifer is the one that I slept that I had been trying to date with.
Okay,
Mhm.
this is the girl we've been talking about this whole time.
Yeah. The person that I had slept with, I'll just say, Tiana. Or,
Yeah.
um,
Jennifer and
um,
Tiana. You slept with Tiana.
okay.
You try to give Jennifer a chance. Jennifer was like,
Yeah, nah. Um, and then so like a week or so after I had slept with Tiana, Jennifer finds out that I had slept with Tiana at work. And what happens is Jennifer confronts me at work about this thing. And I'm just like, what do you want me to say? Or like, I guess, okay, actually,
why would you do
this,
it at work though? What the heck?
Yeah.
See,
that's what I
why
was
you
wondering
don't
too.
do workplace romance?
I just, no, the thing is, like, I just, I think it's just poor choices with women for me. Um, I guess I'm attracted to the wrong people because I think what it happens to be. Which is really weird because I remember like before she had confronted me, I remember having a conversation specifically with her about confrontation and
Hmm.
how she didn't like confrontation, which is why I
She
was
must
so,
have felt like you did her wrong, or she must have just been like triggered with the small t.
yeah,
Um, in the sense of like she was just really bothered by it. She had a reaction, and
yeah,
you can be a non-confrontational
yeah,
person and still feel really upset to confront somebody about something.
yeah. And like I totally understand her being like angry about that, but it was really weird because it felt like she was jealous about it, like we were in a relationship. And that was one of the things that really confused me was because the one of the reasons why I never felt like I could fully like communicate was because we weren't in a relationship and I didn't know like what the boundaries were.
Hmm.
Like we had never communicated that and I never like knew how to approach that because of um how confusing it was to navigate like talking to her. Um now that like so like after like I'm gonna go back a little bit. So let's see. Before I had slept with Tiana, I had gone to a different coworker party. This is after we had like basically cut it off, and my coworkers like after Jennifer had left, had asked me like why did I cut it off, and I had told them that like basically the things were I didn't understand where she was coming from, or like I didn't really understand like what her intentions were, and she always gave me like mixed signals, and one of my biggest pet peeves is not knowing basic manners. And what I mean by basic manners are please, thank you. I've never heard her say that.
Mm.
Like even like like you would think that like maybe after like getting something handed to you, you'd be like, "Oh, thank you," or like even like a small thing, right? I've never heard it. And like that irritated me because and like maybe that's like a difference in like what upbringings. But like that's what it just irritated me, and I didn't know how to really tell her that without feeling like I was going to control the relationship without being it. See,
I
that's
think it could
yeah,
just always be like, and for future, just be like, hey, like I noticed you don't ever say please or thank you. Like, why is that? And just
mm,
like if they become confrontational about it or defensive about it, then like I think that says more about their upbringing because
Yeah.
they're
mm,
defensive versus like if they're like, huh, I just don't, and then you can talk about it. I think that says more
okay,
to it.
okay,
Because sometimes people
okay,
just feel more entitled, and a lot of entitlement comes from way too much privilege or like way too much oppression. So,
mm,
I mean, like for my upbringing, I didn't necessarily need to ever say please or thank you. Not to say that
mm,
things were handed to me, but I worked my ass off even as a
mm,
kid for things. My parents worked their asses off. So, not to say I was like ill mannered, but there was just
mm,
never situations where I needed to say please and thank you to people. So, it wasn't
okay,
until I started having a Filipino stepmom with her Filipino side of the family, where they're very embedded in family and community, where I started
mm,
learning to say please and thank you.
okay. No, that makes more sense. Okay,
Well,
yeah, I
so
had
what
always
ended
thought
up
about that. Yeah.
happening with with Jennifer, because I know like there's this party thing happened,
Yeah.
and she
Okay.
was getting a little close to your leg. And
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
like, "Rare."
Yeah. So like, yeah, since I hadn't been eating that whole day, I had played like one game of like beer pong, and I'm a lightweight. Um, so like I slowly got more and more drunk from beer pong, and after I had like basically dropped off one of my coworkers to the bathroom, Jennifer comes up to me and like asks me like, why are you dropping her off to the bathroom? Like, you know that she has a husband, right? And I'm just like, yes. Like, I'm not trying to get at her. She just asked me to get help to go to the bathroom,
Just
and
being a
I
nice
can tell
guy,
that.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what you want from me. Like, and like she's clearly drunk. And I was like, "Do you want to talk about something?" And she's like, "No." And I'm just like, "Okay then." And then she just kind of stands there like, "Are you sure you don't want to talk about something?" She's like, "No." And then like she steps outside and I'm just like, "What, do you want me to follow you?" And then she like pulls me outside and she sits down on the front and like I sit in front of her, "Okay, like what's going on?" And like at this point, I guess like I've gotten so drunk that like she starts to look more attractive to me, and like at
Uh-oh.
some point, yeah, we ended up making out.
Hmm.
And I didn't, at the time I was like, this is probably a good decision because I'm drunk, and I think at this point I'm also I'm horny again. um
I love
I
I love the
it's
running theme here.
Yeah, but no, unfortunately that's what happened. I got horny again, and she pulls me towards her car, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, but she's pulling me towards her car, and we get into the car, and she starts stripping, and I'm just like, oh, this is happening, and yeah, we have sex in a car.
Like I said, our captain, our leader, Nate the Great.
Yeah,
Did you still
yeah.
talk to her after that, or did you like end it for sure?
So
For sure.
she asked me actually after, and after I had nutted, I was super sober.
You got that post nut clarity.
Yeah.
You
I
were
was
super
I,
so.
You came to your senses.
I was so sober, but I was like, okay, I'm sober, but she clearly hasn't come, so I'm gonna help her out.
Good for
Look at
you.
my man Nate, the gentleman over
Are you
here.
so generous? Ugh, I love that.
So yeah, I did, and then I was just like, okay, we'll just get dressed, and then like we get dressed, we get out of the car, and she asked me like, so do you want to go back to how things were? And I stand there for a sec, and I think about that. I'm just like, I'm sorry, no, I don't want to.
She said, I'm gonna, well, okay, this is just my thoughts and my opinions. I could be totally wrong about this. But she said,
Mhm.
let me throw my body at you and get you back. And you said, I'm good.
Nah,
No thanks.
yeah, no, that's it. That's honestly what it felt like. Um, but I just wanted no part of her because there's so many things about her that like confused me and like made it really hard to communicate that
Yeah.
I didn't want to deal with it. Like I already felt like I was doing way too much for what it was worth,
Hmm.
and like like she wasn't really reciprocating that for me.
Honestly, you're
So
better off.
yeah. So yeah, that's that's that story, I think. I don't
That
know if I left anything out, but yeah.
that is a very prime example as to what happens when you date your coworkers. You
Yeah.
end up in some shit.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad we saved that story for last, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, can I say something else actually?
Yeah, of
I
Yes.
forgot.
course.
This is like after that. So
After your post nut clarity.
yeah, so like this is like I had basically quit by that point. I had quit that job and I'd work somewhere else. Um I had been invited to another party and it's at her house, at Jennifer's house. Um, and like I'm just hanging out with like a bunch of my like old coworkers. We're having like a pretty good time, and then like a couple of them, um, like joke about like a one night thing towards me, and I'm just like, in the back of my head, I'm just like, I know what you're saying, but I'm gonna play it off like I'm an idiot and just laugh it off. Um,
Oh, you are stronger than me.
so I do that the whole night, like kind of just goes over. Um, and like she comes in for like a hug to like as I'm leaving, and I leave and I look at my phone and she asks me like about an hour earlier if I wanted to stay over
Did
that
you?
night. No.
Damn.
I saw that message and I was like I'll be honest, I thought about it for a sec and I was like, no, it's not worth it.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
good
Good for
on
holding back.
yeah, good on you for reading the room. 'Cause, I mean, let's face it, if you would have stayed, you would have got a third nut.
Yep. And it would
If
not have
someone
been
were to have
fun.
make like jokes or like snide comments about that towards me, I would have been like, "Yep, I came and went." And your point? Like,
Yeah.
you want to? Anybody else want to have this one night with me?
Right.
Cool, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that so and I'll be honest, it was just such a weird thing. Also, it didn't help that she became a manager afterwards.
Oh, you could have been fucking the boss.
I did not want to deal with that.
No, I feel you. I feel you.
There's a whole bunch of things. Is I don't know. I don't know, man. I think it was also dealing with people who were under the age of 20.
Well, they're fresh out of
Uh,
high school. They're
that
probably in a
are
bigger high school in some capacities if they're in community college.
Yeah. It was like those two were the people that were under the age of 20 that said that. And I was just like, okay, whatever, I guess. Which is crazy to me because the two people that I had slept with were both a year younger than me,
Mm,
and they were the only people that were that age. Everyone else was like 20 or younger. And I don't
yeah,
know, man.
there's something weird about being over like 23, having sex with someone in the 18 to 20 range.
And I don't know. That's so.
Would
Is
you,
it wrong
okay,
for me?
at our current age, would you have,
Mhm.
what's your youngest that you would have sex with right now?
So 5 years younger is the
Okay.
max for me because there that would be over the age of 21. And it's like the generational gap I don't think is as big enough for us to not have any real similarities.
Hmm.
I think that's
What if
that's where
she's
I
like
kind of
so fucking hot and she's 20?
I don't know because attractiveness I think for me is based like I think like 30% on appearance and like 70% on personality.
Yeah, like what are you bringing to the table? You're hot, but like what
Yeah,
else is
what else you got?
what else
Yeah,
every I can find a hot chick, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
almost anywhere, but like you need more than that. Like
yeah,
I'm not going to let you skate by just because you flutter your eyelashes at me.
yeah. No, seriously. And like I that's it bothers me so much because like there are some people who are like a 5 and they'll act like they're a 10. And they'll also act um like they can just be an asshole.
That's true. I've seen that specifically like with women. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't really understand. Like I don't think it's that hard to be a a decent person, at least starting out. If you like my
We
God.
think it's not hard, but people just do not understand how to be a decent person. Like it's the hardest thing on the planet for them, and
Yeah.
people we just gotta stay away from.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that pretty much concludes workplace relationship for me at least. As far as I can remember. trying to think if there maybe was one.
If I'm being honest, I don't think anything that either Yesenia or I could say that could top that story.
Nope, because you got like the whirlwind romance, the attempts, the plot twist of, oh, she's not as pretty as I thought she was. I don't want to be with you, but then let me try. No, I'm going to screw somebody else. Oh, now I'm going to have sex with you. And boom. Second chance denied. That's like a perfect. Yeah, mine was boring. I mean, yeah, he cheated on me a bunch of times, but like, we're in a whole ass relationship for like a year, so whatever. There was no other drama to it, though.
Yeah, as Nate was talking, I was fucking, I was gonna say something about how lately on my routes for the past like year or so, there's been this one girl at one of my stops who I thought was like super pretty, and I was gonna probably start striking up a conversation with her. Oh, that's like super risky, especially being like a delivery driver, because it's like, you say the wrong thing or you come off like the wrong way. Even if you come off super nice, all it takes is like one phone call, and your whole fucking spot gets blown up. Like, well, I'm gonna call into the boss's office. Like, what did you say to so and so at this stop? And I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
There's a UPS driver that delivers some stuff to the store that I work at. And he's a handsome black man. Oh my gosh. Like he's like tall. He was really nice. He was really like just respectful. And he like was buying stuff like snacks for his route. And he came back to ask me for my phone number. And I usually don't give my number out at work just to anybody. But like, I was like, like you're handsome. Like, let's do it. And we had a good initial conversation, and it turned into him like bombarding me with like a million texts back to back, and I'm like, I'm busy. I can't handle someone with that much of a need right now. So it didn't really go anywhere. But like every time he comes in, it's kind of awkward. But like he makes it really like casual, and I'm like, okay, I'm making it awkward, so let me chill the fuck out. But yeah, like I don't mean this in a sexual way, but I usually accept his packages. So I'm like, you can still come and give me your package. That's fine. Just don't make it weird, please.
I feel like UPS and FedEx drivers always get a little bit more leeway when it comes to stuff like that, because there is sort of like that, I guess, fantasy around like, ooh, the hot UPS guy. Maybe if I order a package one day, I invite him in on a hot day for a cup of water. I'll get his package. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, oh, look at him in those short shorts he's got on, shit like that.
Let me unbox your shorts.
But Nathan, thank you for the entertainment for the last hour. That was great. I love hearing that story. Even in its elongated form, I love it. Oh.
Well, I'm glad to entertain.
Yeah, you did your thing, and I mean, Yesenia and I really appreciate it, and I hope the listeners appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope that everyone who is listening takes that as a giant PSA. Please, for the love of God, just don't do it. It's not worth it.
Here you have it, folks. Your lovely cast of Simmering today. Simmering?
Uh-oh.
Soft boiled. Are we in the wrong VC?
Yes, we are. I was going to say that earlier, but I didn't want to say anything.
My bad. Soft boiled. The cast and crew of Soft Boiled are stamping their seal of disapproval. Do not date your coworkers.
Indeed.
But if you're horny, I mean, maybe just go for it for like one or two times.
If you want to be a monster like DeAndre, go for it.
Hey, dating.
I'm gonna tell your girlfriend right now. Actually, let me text her.
Hey,
get your man's.
I'm not saying I would do it, especially not in this current juncture. But I mean, hey, in the case of Nate, if you're horny, I mean, sometimes shit happens.
I just didn't.
I mean, let's face it, the blood wasn't in your brain.
It was not.
That's for damn sure. Well, folks, here you have it. If you are still listening and still tuning in, we appreciate you for sticking through it with us for this long. But we really needed to get down to the juicy details as to why we are really helping y'all out and saying do not date your coworkers. Nate, do you want to tell the lovely listeners where they can find you, if they can find you anywhere?
Um, Sorry, not at the moment.
All right, don't find
I'm
him, don't
taking
look
a
for him.
hiatus. Yeah, I'm taking a hiatus from content creation for the time being. But I mean, I guess eventually, innate ability ASMR is probably what it would be. It's
Ooh.
spelled exactly how it sounds. If you know how to spell innate, um, and ability, you got it.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Nate. DeAndre, we did it again with another episode of our lovely soft boiled podcast.
I guess you could say this one was a banger.
Oh, God, I hate you so much.
I'm doing it.
Please leave, DeAndre. Please leave. I don't know if, like, sometimes when I like have sex with people that I'm not really in relationships with, I used to feel like really bad about myself, like, oh, I'm giving this like side of me to someone, this like energy, and then I'm taking that energy from them too. So I don't know if guys ever feel like that, like, oh, I had sex with someone and it kind of really wasn't worth it. Like, I mean, in the moment, yeah, you're getting your nut or whatever, but I don't know. Do you guys ever have that moment, or do you ever have that moment of just like, ah, this wasn't worth it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the last. I mean, I guess that's every single time I've had sex. I've basically felt like that, and I think it's not necessarily. Um, I think it's more that it's because of my like very strict Christian upbringing
Mm-hmm.
that kind of contributed to that feeling. Um, Also, just being in like the kind of family that I guess like I don't know if it was like intentional or not, or if it's just like a generational thing, but also like I guess it would be generational now I think about it, like generational like gaslighting.
Oh, hell yeah.
Um, like making you feel like, oh yeah, everyone knows what the definition is at this point. But so like every time that I have had sex, like it's like the weird like post nut clarity thing. And
Yeah, you're sort of like, why was I?
just
Why did I do that?
yeah, what did I do? Why did I do that? Was this really a good idea? Ah, shit, I feel like a shitty person. Like, should I? Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Wait, I have a question because
Yeah.
I grew up pretty Catholic and I did
Mm-hmm.
catechism and all of that stuff. So I'm like baptized, communionized, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, a lot of it was like embedded in like this fear of going to hell. Is that how it
Mm-hmm.
is for Christianity too? Of like you engaged in like these actions outside of wedlock, like now you're going to hell?
I think yes. I think for the most part, yes. The other part is like, I think disappointment in like your family, or at least
Mm,
for me, it would be like my family because, both my parents, they were, high school sweethearts.
got it.
So they were the only people that, they really had sex with. And, I think that also kind of contributed to that whole feeling of guilt and
Yeah.
with the sex outside of marriage.
But you
Um,
know what? Like a high school sweetheart is so rare. Like my brother and his girlfriend are kind of high school sweethearts, but they go
mhm,
through it. And if you get through the like heavy stuff,
mhm.
then that's great, but like that's not common anymore.
It's not. It really isn't. Like, yeah, it's not common, and I'm not even really sure why it is exactly. I kind of want to blame social media and like or just like the way that the world is now is, and like I feel like maybe this is a little preachy, but like like the media has like continuously advertised like sex sells clearly, and like more and more people are curious about sex because like obviously you see it in like everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
um and it's just become more I'm not even sure if this is the right word, but like prolific, I guess, um in like our culture, and like the younger people are now the more likely that they're gonna have sex.
Mm-hmm.
um like I think like when I was like if I keep thinking about like when we were in middle school, like there was maybe like a handful of people that were probably having sex, but I
Yeah.
swear to God, like I feel like nowadays it's a totally different thing.
Yeah, like my experience working with middle schoolers, like they're immature, but that's all in their mind is like sex and
Yeah,
like
right.
sexual innuendos and making like sexual like behaviors and like
Hmm.
fake moaning in class and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I was literally wearing what's that monkey like Jack? I think his name's like Jack something, like these shirts with like a monkey who would be really sassy. I would
Yeah.
literally wait for the next one to come out or like which Lisa Frank stuff was coming out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like my mind was not on sex. I didn't
Hmm.
really get into sexual things until my freshman year of high school. And that's because now you're with a bigger body of people, you know? Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think what you said is like accurate. Like social media also portrays that like there's always someone better, you know, like
Hmm.
because of filters, because of editing.
Yeah.
People don't look the way that they actually do in person. So
Yeah.
you have people looking at half naked women and ignoring the women that they have in front of them, or vice versa. You
Yeah.
have people looking at like half naked men and ignoring the man that's in front of them.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. It's a really weird thing now. Um and I guess also like I think part of the reason why like is I feel like everyone's attention span has also kind of dwindled,
Yeah.
and that also I feel like negatively impacts like relationships because I feel like people don't want to be in relationships for as long or don't feel like they need to be as committed um because of that. But I
Hmm.
don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too far. Um that's kind of where my head's at.
I think analyzing relationships can be both beautiful and a curse because
Yeah.
you know what you're wanting, you're thinking about what you can bring and how to present yourself in a relationship, and also like overthinking it does kill our ego, it does kill our
Yeah,
confidence, and it makes us second
absolutely.
guess ourselves. So we just have to find like a good balance between the two. And I think, like you said earlier, like physical looks, definitely, I think that's whoever says they don't look at looks first or like their physical
Yeah.
appearance doesn't really matter. It does. That's
Hmm.
what brings you to
It does.
somebody.
Well, absolutely.
Unless it's like a natural organic connection of like you started
Hmm.
talking to a person and then
Yeah.
found them to be beautiful. But 90% of the time you're looking at looks.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
finding people that you have common interests with or can at least bond over one person's interest and having time together, I think that's crucial for relationships and communication.